Welcome back for the OHL Power Rankings for the week of October 23rd. There were a few big movers and some who stayed flat consistently. I was kind of surprised with how the Power Rankings worked out with the formula I've come up with. It's a little different, I think, than what the Ontario Hockey League's using, as you'll notice a few differences between this Power Ranking and what the OHL uses. So it's a lot of fun to do, just going over what teams stood out over the last week, what teams maybe fell back a bit, and where we stand going into the final weekend of October. So starting things off, number 20, the Windsor Spitfires. They did snap their 5-game losing streak with a 5-2 win over the Saginaw Spirit. And with that win, I wanted to move them up in the power rankings, but for some reason this week, all the teams around them were getting big wins. So that's why the Windsor Spitfires are still number 20. They do have a 3-3 coming up this weekend, starting with Ottawa Thursday night, and then they play against the Sarnia Sting and the Niagara Ice Dogs. It's going to be a big test playing the Ottawa 67s team. They are looking really good of late, and it's going to be a big test Thursday for Windsor to try and get out of the bottom when it comes to the power rankings. Number 19, this is the biggest drop. It's the Kingston Frontenacs. They fell 5 positions. They went 1-2 and a 3-3, opening with a 6-0 loss against the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. It was looking pretty bleak at times for the Kingston Frontenacs. Paul Ludwinski, though, he had a 3-point weekend, a goal against the Guelph Storm, and then 2 assists. Matthew Soto, another player who stood out for Kingston, 2 goals in the win over the Owen Sound Attack. And in that game, Kingston, they were up 4-0 and then held on to a 4-3 win. So it was a bit of a tough one for Kingston. They do have 2 games this weekend, including a trip to Mississauga Saturday. So that will not be an easy contest for Kingston to try and turn things around. So we'll have to wait and see on that front. Coming in at number 18, I wanted this team to go up more than this, but they only went up 1 position, and that's the Flint Firebirds at number 18. They had a huge bounce back. They went 2-1 on their road trip with wins in Barrie and Sudbury. Nathan Day, he was the difference. He was outstanding. He had a .929 save percentage in the game against the Barrie Colts, and then a .909 save percentage against the Sudbury Wolves. So it was a great road trip for them. Tough loss, though, to wrap it up in North Bay. But I think this could be a sign of things to come for Flint. They have a great lineup with the NHL talent. Paul Flash, he's got them playing hard. They were so aggressive on the forecheck. They really don't give the opposition much time to think with the puck. And one player I was really impressed with, Zachary Giroux. So Flint, I don't think they're going to be at the bottom of the power rankings for long. I think this is a team with a lot of upside and expect them to climb in the coming weeks. And they do have a home and home this weekend against the Sioux Greyhounds before they host the Saginaw Spirits. So those Greyhounds, a really tough challenge, and we'll see what Flint can do against them. Coming in at number 17, it's the Brantford Bulldogs. They went 2-1, and they had a tough loss to start against the London Knights, but they managed to bounce back. I know it might seem a little low to have Brantford here at this position of number 17, but I feel like they're a team that still has to show something to go forward, because this is a Brantford group that looks pretty good with Nick Lardis. If he can get going, that's going to be a big way for them to jump. He had 3 points in 3 games for the Brantford Bulldogs. They had wins on the road against Oshawa and Owen Sound. So for Brantford, I think they're another team that could turn it around, just like the Flint Firebirds. And they host North Bay Friday before traveling to the Sadlin Arena to face the Barrie Colts. So it's going to be Brantford's first trip to Barrie after the Bulldogs and Colts met in the first round of the playoffs last year. Coming in at number 16 and also going up 1 position, and this is kind of because of the fall of the Kingston Frontenacs, it's Niagara. I have them at number 16. I might be an optimist after they went 1-1 over the week. They lost at home to Kitchener to start off the week and then came back to force overtime against Sarnia. That ended in a loss, but they did win on the road in Erie Sunday by a final score of 5-2. So that was a big win for the Niagara Ice Dogs. Mike Levin right now, 5 points in 3 games. He has been standing tall, and he also had he has points in 5 of his last 6 games. So Mike Levin, keep an eye out for him. He's him and Kevin He have really been playing great for the Niagara Ice Dogs, and expect more of that going forward. They do have a 3-3 this weekend, so it's going to be tough. They got the Peterborough Petes Friday night at home before going on the road to face the Sarnia Sting and the Windsor Spitfires. So we'll see if they can continue that momentum going forward. Coming in at number 15 and up 3 spots. It's the Erie Otters. I moved Erie up because they had a huge win to start off the week against the London Knights. And then after that, they fell short against Niagara and Sarnia. And then with Kingston falling, that's why I have them at that number 15 spot. Martin Mishiak for the Chicago Blackhawks prospect. He looks like a big game player. He was the first star in the game versus the London Knights, and he had 5 points in 3 games. So Mishiak looking pretty solid in that Erie Otters lineup. The Otters, they do have a 3-3 coming up this week. It starts Thursday night in Barrie before traveling to Kitchener and then return home to Peterborough. So they're going to be getting a lot of miles for those Erie Otters on the bus. So bus legs might be a factor when they wrap up that 3-3 at home against Peterborough. Number 14, down 3 spots. It's the Owen Sound Attack. They had a very rough weekend. They moved on from Greg Walters. He was let go at the start of the week. So they made that coaching change as Rumble has taken over as an interim head coach. And as a result, they've lost 3 in a row. It wasn't a good start for Owen Sound against Kitchener. And then Corbin Vaudry, he was pulled in back-to-back games at home against Brantford and Kingston. So it's really tough right now for the Owen Sound Attack. But that game against Kitchener was pretty close. It was a 5-3 final, but just things have been looking a little off for Owen Sound, and hopefully they can turn it around because I think they do have a pretty good lineup. You've got Colby Barlow in net. I really like Carter George, their goaltender. So I think for Owen Sound, maybe it's just growing pains, learning new systems under Rumble, and we'll see if they can really get things turned around there at the Bayshore. They do have the Kitchener Rangers again on Saturday at the Bayshore before traveling to Oshawa to face the Generals this weekend. Coming in at number 13, I have the Peterborough Petes. They're down 1 spot. The Petes, they went 1-1-1. They started rough with a 4-0 loss at home to the Sioux Greyhounds on their school day game. But then the Petes, they played great in Ottawa before losing in overtime to the Generals to wrap up the weekend. Zach Bowen, he had a 43 save performance against the 67s, and Jonathan Millie, 2 for 2, 2 goals, 2 assists, good for 4 points in those final 2 games of the week. So I think for the Peterborough Petes, they are an experienced team. They're going to get points. They're competing right now with the Ottawa 67s for top spot in that East Division. So I think for Peterborough, still some issues to resolve, but things are looking okay there in the Liftlock City. Coming in at number 12, the Saginaw Spirit. They dropped 2 spots this week. It's been a tough stretch for the Memorial Cup hosts. They lost to the last place Windsor Spitfires on Saturday, and that made it a 3-game losing streak at that point. But then they defeated the London Knights in their Pink in the Rink game on Sunday. So they had a bounce back. Hopefully this is the sign of things to come for Saginaw. Maybe they can get past that really tough stretch when they lost Michael Misa to injury. Misa, though, he did return to the lineup Saturday. However, he only managed 1 assist during the 2 games over the weekend. And you also have to wonder, since they are the Memorial Cup host, how long until they make some changes to the roster, maybe some additions. Looking it up, they do have 4 second-round picks in the 2025 OHL priority selection. So you have to figure, just with the way junior hockey works, you cannot trade your first-round picks, which means those second-round picks are very valuable to trade because it's all about cycles. Teams want to trade away some of their talent to recoup those picks and then get younger and rebuild through the draft. So for the Saginaw Spirit, I'm wondering, they've got to start making some moves sooner rather than later because they want to go in through the front door at the Memorial Cup. They don't want to go in through the back door. So expect to see some moves coming with Saginaw. And right now I do have them at number 12 in the OHL Power Rankings. This weekend, though, they do have a 3-3. It's a home and home against the Sioux Greyhounds. Or not a home and home, but they have the Sioux Greyhounds Friday, Sarnia on Saturday, and then they hit the road and visit the Flint Firebirds on Sunday. So we'll see what Saginaw can do there. Speaking of the Oshawa Generals, I have them at number 11. They're up 3 spots. They went 2-1, including a comeback win against the Peterborough Petes over the weekend. That was on Saturday. They came back, won that one in overtime. And then they shut out the Guelph Storm 2-0 on Sunday. So 2 really big wins for Oshawa. And Matthew Buckley, he had a hat trick in that game Saturday against the Peterborough Petes. And then Jacob Oster, he recorded the shutout against his former team. So you know that must have felt good for him. And Oster also appearing in all 3 games for Oshawa, including that shutout against Guelph. So the Oshawa Generals, really good showing for them, and I think that's a team on the up and up. They're expecting Callum Ritchie to be back in the lineup in early November, and if they can get Ritchie back and healthy, this Oshawa team can really turn it around and making things very interesting in that East Division. Coming in at number 10, I almost wanted to have them a little lower. It's the Barrie Colts. They're down 3 spots. They lost all 3 games in their 3-3, and specialty teams has been a problem. They had a close game against the Guelph Storm and then allowed 3 power play goals in a 3-1 loss, and that was Friday night. And then on Saturday at home against the Sudbury Wolves, again giving up 3 power play goals against also a shorthanded marker. So it's a tough time right now for the Barrie Colts, just trying to get something going. Specialty teams needs some work, and I'm sure for Marty Williamson and the coaching staff, working on that this week before they open another 3-3 this weekend. Another busy weekend for the Barrie Colts. It starts Thursday at home against the Erie Otters before traveling to Mississauga to face the Red Hot Steelheads, and then they wrap things up against the Brantford Bulldogs. So a lot of work for the Barrie Colts. If they can't turn this around, they could find themselves on the second half of the OHL Power Rankings, which is a little bit surprising with some of the talent they do have on that roster. Coming in at number 9, the Ottawa 67s. They did not move. Same spot as last week. They swept their Northern Road swing last week, and then this weekend went 1-for-1. They put up 44 shots in a 4-1 loss to the Petes, where Zach Bowen just shut the door. So the Ottawa 67s offense, they were getting pucks to the net, just couldn't beat the Petes goaltender. And then they beat the Sioux Greyhounds 4-1, where Caleb Lawrence scored his first 2 goals as a member of the Ottawa 67s. Remember, Lawrence picked up at the beginning of the season from the Owen Sound attack, and the big thing was for Lawrence and Owen Sound, he wasn't getting the goals, and in Ottawa getting 2 in 1 game, so looking pretty good there. They do have a very tough road trip ahead of them. They're going to be going to Windsor, London, and Guelph this weekend. They're getting 2 big road trips out of the way at the start of the regular season. You almost want to do that. You get the team bonding, you get these longer bus road trips out of the way, and because Ottawa, they've already done the Northern Road swing towards Sault Ste. Marie, and now they're heading down the 401 corridor between Windsor and Guelph. So we'll see what Ottawa can do there. Coming in at number 8, the Guelph Storm, the biggest mover going up the OHL Power Ranking. They're up 5 spots. The Storm, they went 2-1 over this past week. They put up 3 power play goals against the Barrie Colts in that win, and they also went 1-for-4 on the power play against Kingston. So the power play unit getting things done right now for the Guelph Storm. But it was a tough loss to end the week against the Oshawa Generals. That was that 2-0 loss. And for Guelph, looking at their score sheets, they're scoring by committee. And imagine if they had Matthew Poitras in the lineup. Poitras, of course, playing with the Boston Bruins right now on that entry-level contract. We're waiting to see if Poitras gets sent back to the Guelph Storm after playing 9 games in the NHL. But I don't know. If Guelph can get Poitras back, he's going to be a difference maker for that team. So watch out for the Guelph Storm. They could be a bit of a dark horse in that Midwest division. They do have a big test this weekend going on the road. The Guelph Storm, they're going to be in North Bay and Sudbury. And those are 2 top teams in the Eastern Conference right now. So for Guelph, they're climbing the rankings pretty quick, and we'll see if they can continue that. If they can get a win or 2 against those 2 teams, expect Guelph to be probably in the top 5 of the OHL Power Rankings. Coming in at number 7, it's the London Knights. They dropped 5 positions, and they have the firepower, they have the defense, they have the goaltending. It's just not clicking right now. They went 1-2. Their only win was against the Brantford Bulldogs. That was a 5-1 victory, and the Bulldogs in that hockey game missing 3 key players due to suspension from that brawl against the Peterborough Petes. And then they lost to the Erie Otters at home, and then on the road against the Saginaw Spirit, who are on a 3-game losing streak. So they only have 1 game this weekend, and that's at home against the Ottawa 67s. That'll be a big test for London. And for the London Knights, they'll want to get that win at home. And of course, if they can get that win, then Dale Hunter would become the 2nd most winningest coach in OHL history. So right now, just sitting on the verge of history with London is Dale Hunter, and I'm sure he would love to snap this losing streak. And it would probably be nice, too, to do it against an Ottawa 67s team that's been pretty good of late. Coming in at number 6, it's the Sudbury Wolves. They are up 2 positions. You know what? Let the good times roll for Sudbury. After getting news that Dalibor Dvorsky would be joining the team, They went 2-1 with wins against Mississauga and Barrie. Their only loss was against Nathan Day and the Flint Firebirds. Injuries, they have been a bit of an issue for Sudbury. Jabril Toure, he is out due to injury. They still haven't had Matthew Mania back in the lineup. So once this Wolves team gets healthy, I think this Sudbury team could make a real good push for top spot in the Central Division. Uh, they also have a decision to make when it comes to their import because with Dvorsky in the lineup, you also have Jakub Vondras and Jacob Chromiak. So you can only have two import players, and out of those three, it sounds like Chromiak might be the odd man out. They have to make that decision within 14 days of Dvorsky committing to the Sudbury Wolves. So I'm sure for the Sudbury Wolves looking to find a place for Chromiak to play. And looking at the rosters from other teams, the Kingston Frontenacs, they could be a fit, or maybe the Brantford Bulldogs, they have room for an import player. And you got to imagine that Chromiak, if he joined that Kingston Frontenacs team, probably help them turn things around. But what's it going to cost? It's unknown at this point what the Sudbury Wolves are looking to add. You'd think maybe defense with the offense they already have, but still, a decision will have to come soon for the Sudbury Wolves. Number 5, no movement. It's the Sarnia Sting. I feel like Sarnia is a team that people are just waiting for the wheel to come off the cart. They went 2-0 against the Niagara Ice Dogs and the Erie Otters, but you have to figure, okay, those are some weaker opponents, so they should win those games. But still, this is a Sarnia team that have a young talent. They're getting the job done. Jacob LeBlanc was the overtime hero in that game against Niagara, against his former team. And then you look at a player like Tyson Doucette. He's been on a roll. He's riding a 5-game point streak right now, a goal and 2 assists even over the last 2 games. So for the Sarnia Sting, they're getting the job done, but they do have a huge test tomorrow on the road. They're going to be in Kitchener to face the Rangers at the Odd. So, for Sarnia, if they want to keep this momentum and just send a message to the OHL and the rest of the Canadian Hockey League that they are legit, then they'll have to get a win at the Odd, which is not easy right now. Coming in at number 4, another team not moving in the power ranking, it's the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. They went 2-1 on their road trip through the East Division, including 2 shutouts against Peterborough and Kingston. Jack Beck, he is 4th in scoring in the OHL with 18 points. He had a goal and 4 assists on this most recent trip. And then you've got Arttu Karki, 2nd in goal scoring with 10. He had 4 over the weekend alone, 2 against the Peterborough Petes. So this is a Sioux Greyhounds team that has amazing offense. And they do have 2 games against the Flint Firebirds this week, and then a game against the Saginaw Spirits. So it's going to be a test for them playing those Michigan teams. But you know what? The Sioux Greyhounds, they seem to be up for the challenge. So we'll see what happens with them. Number 3, the Kitchener Rangers, up 3 spots. I did have them higher in the ranking just before their loss against the Mississauga Steelheads on Saturday. It was a battle of 2 powerhouses. The Rangers, though, just couldn't get the job done on the road. But Kitchener, they continue to exceed expectations, and they just received word that Machar, he'll be coming back from the Montreal Canadiens, so another offensively gifted forward joining that Kitchener team. But you know what? The conversations before the year were, unload your top players, to get some draft picks, get some young talent, because it's all about cycles. Last year was supposed to be Kitchener's year with the talent. This year, people were figuring this is going to be a rebuild. They're not going to make the playoffs, but here they are sitting in the top spot in the Western Conference. So it's a bit of a debate. Mike McKenzie, the general manager, has some tough choices to make. And when you look at the lineup and how they're performing, you've got Hunter Brustevich, 1st in points in the OHL with 20. Carson Rakoff, he is 2nd with 19. And then Adrian Mislevic, 5th with 17 points in the OHL. They do play Sarnia at the Odd tomorrow before facing Erie and Owen Sound. So this Kitchener Rangers team, I'm expecting them to remain near the top of the OHL Power Rankings just with the way they've been playing. Sarnia will be a big test, but Erie and Owen Sound, at this point, you have to give the edge to the Kitchener Rangers. But it's still early in the season, and anything's possible. Coming in at number 2, the North Bay Battalion, they are up 1 spot. The big question coming into this year was the goal scoring. Who's going to lead the team in scoring? Are they going to be able to find the back of the net on a regular basis? Well, they're answering those questions by putting up 12 goals in just 2 games against Mississauga and Flint. Dalen Wakely, 16 points in 10 games to start the season. And then there's Anthony Romani, 15 points. Owen Van Steensel, he has 13. So those guys are getting the job done offensively. And then you still have Ty Nelson on the back end, and Dom DiVincentis between the pipes. So this team could challenge for the Central Division if they keep the team together or even add some pieces during the regular season, but you never know. You might see North Bay unload some players to recoup some draft picks, but if you're a North Bay fan, you might enjoy seeing this team be a little competitive once again, just like last year, going all the way to the Eastern Conference Final. This is a team that, if you keep them together, maybe add a piece or two, who knows? Maybe they could contend for the Eastern Conference. And I'm sure for the team, getting that extra gate revenue in the playoffs wouldn't hurt either. So for North Bay, they do have a big game Thursday at home against the Guelph Storm before heading to Brantford Friday and then hosting the Sudbury Wolves on Sunday. I think the Sunday game against Sudbury could say a lot about either of those teams, the Sudbury Wolves and the North Bay Battalion, as they chase Mississauga for top spot in the Central Division. And speaking of Mississauga, they are again the number one team in the power ranking. No movement for them. They went 2-1 over the week. Their only loss was on the road against the Sudbury Wolves, but they came back to defeat North Bay and then handed Kitchener a 4-1 loss at the Paramount Fine Food Center. So Mississauga, I really like the Steelheads team. They kind of give that vibe from last year with the Ottawa 67s. Luke Misa, 18 points to start the year, good for third overall. He had 4 assists in his last 4 games, so he's right there helping out the offense. The Steelheads, though, this is interesting. They are the most penalized team in the Ontario Hockey League with 184 penalty minutes. Second is London with 154. So 2 teams that are near the top of their standings in the conferences, but they're also the most penalized. I thought that was interesting. For Mississauga, though, they do have 2 home games this weekend against the Barrie Colts and the Kingston Frontenac. So both those games are at home, and we'll see what they can do with that. So those are the OHL Power Rankings for this week. In the comments, let me know what you think down below. Let me know who you think should be higher or lower, or maybe who you think the top team is right now in the Ontario Hockey League. I'd love to see your comments. Appreciate all the support so far with the channel as we continue to grow. And I do have an interview coming up with a special person involved with the Brantford Bulldogs broadcasts. I'll expect to have that video soon. So remember to hit like and subscribe so you can get those notifications. And we'll see what's going on with the rest of the OHL going forward. And, of course, we're going to be following the Barrie Colts as they get ready for that 3-3 this weekend. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you again soon.